Here we go. Next episode of Shut Up and Dill podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nicki, and we have Vivi.
Hi.
And Jimbo.
Hello.
Sorry, I forgot I had to say your name too.
That's okay.
And as usual, we are your co-hosts for Shut Up and Dill podcast, and really do appreciate you listening on whatever podcast service you use or watching on YouTube. So today we're going to be discussing a couple things on the show. One will be MLP. We did a little video on this, a little content drop.
Yes.
Yeah, traditional
scoring versus
rally scoring.
rally scoring, which
Yeah,
rally scoring for amateurs that maybe don't know, rally scoring is what's used in MLP style matches.
MLP is Major League Pickleball.
Yes.
But yeah, you can score on your serve, but you also score when you are on the return.
Defending. Yep. And you played at 21?
Typically played at 21. Yep. Win by 2. Several variations of how you can end the game.
So frustrating now.
There's what used to be the freeze. Like once the first team gets to 20, they freeze, and once the second team catches up maybe and gets to 18, then both teams are freezing. And freeze means you can only score on your serve at that point.
Yep.
Now the rules have been modified, and it's basically there's no freeze. The way we played this last tournament was there was no freeze, and the only thing you have to do is finish on your serve. So it could be 20 to 14. You're serving, and the other team, every time they get a side out, they're getting a point. So they're catching up to you until you can get a point on your serve. The game's still going.
The whole time we were playing, I was like, guys, I don't know the difference. What do you mean? Like, we're not freezing, but you can only win on your serve. Like, isn't that what freezing is?
No.
Well, you freeze, but your opponent used to freeze when they got to 18. So
They didn't, though.
yeah, they did.
Not yesterday. They didn't.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Used to.
But it used to be that they froze.
Okay.
And you had to win the next point on your serve all the time.
Yeah.
Until somebody made it to 21 or win by 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now there's a lot of pressure to get that final point on your serve. Otherwise, like I said, the team that's losing 20 to 15, they get a side out. They get a point every time they get that side out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep. Okay. All right.
Is everybody clear?
Yeah, I think
what
so.
that
And I
means?
mean, just because we have, amateur listeners that maybe not have experienced the rally scoring yet versus traditional, which is, obviously traditional and typically played. So we kind of know that one first before we go into rally. So we asked a couple of listeners and just players at one of the tournaments, the Fredericksburg tournament that we went to, if they like traditional or rally. And the winner was traditional.
Yep.
Yeah, I think majority.
That was majority was, but Vivi, what's your vote?
I like rally. I like rally more.
Okay.
I like
like
rally.
rally?
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you like it?
I like it because it's fun. I like it because it does make the match more competitive. Constantly, having to fight for every point and not just when you have your serve, you can be more aggressive because you can't, they won't get any points. But now you have to constantly be careful. Also, I like MLP, or I like team tournaments more than normal tournaments. So I feel like rally kind of goes along with that. So but sometimes, but most every time.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm a big. I like the rally scoring. I really do, and I think a couple of people that voted on rally scoring at the tournament. We kind of talked about it, and I think it's just because you associate rally scoring with the team style event, and I'm a big fan of the team style event. So I just kind of associate rally scoring with team style events. So I like it, but I also like it because you predetermine which side you're going to play on. you don't necessarily have to move, or stack or, uncoil the stack, So I like that you're designated on a side. You can also switch sides after a timeout or on the, on the side change. So I don't know. I'm a fan of it, but at the same time, it may hurt us, hurt like you and I when we play together because we're so used to stacking and uncoiling where other teams aren't. A lot of times we can catch people on the move where they don't have to do that against us now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So rally. Pitcher's name is
Okay, so both of y'all have gone rally.
How about you, Nikki? What's your vote?
I think I like rally scoring better because I actually don't ever feel like I'm out of it. In traditional scoring, I think sometimes the spread can get so large that it can be very difficult, especially at a certain level, to make a run.
Yeah.
So if somebody does happen to make a run of 4 or 5 on their serve, there's just a lot of pressure to do the same on yours. Whereas in rally, if you can just grab a couple of the shots, a couple of the points when they're serving, and a couple of the points when you're serving, you're back in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never really feel in rally scoring that any team is out. I feel like you have to stay focused and playing the whole time. Even when you get to 20, like you said, there's still pressure to convert to 21 because the other team is still moving forward at a faster pace than you.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting because I feel like, up until this new rule of, no freeze,
yeah,
I felt like in rally scoring, 5 points is hard to come back from. Like 5 points is hard.
but they froze, so they it moved slower until you caught up with them.
Yeah, I mean, you can claw back to 18, but then you have to do it on your serve after that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of games that probably ended at 21 to 18, which I guess is close, but if you look back at it, man, we had them 21 or we had them 20 to 12, and the only reason they came back is because they didn't freeze, right? Like, but I feel like if you can get a 5 or 6 point lead in rally scoring, all you have to do really is, defend the return of serve, and you're gonna stay 5 or 6 points ahead of.
I don't know. I kind of think the proof's in the pudding that MLP that uses rally scoring tends to be a very there's a lot of really, really close matches with players that typically are not close when you go to traditional scoring in a traditional format of tournament. You have players that you've never heard of before. They're on the court being competitive with some of the top players because in rally scoring you can catch up. So I think I like rally scoring for that. A little bit different than what you said. I actually don't like being locked into one side. I really don't like that about the rally scoring. I like that about traditional scoring. So I like the format better of like changing sides, and I like that. But overall, the scoring system, I like rally, I think, more. Yeah. Simply because I think it's more competitive, it's more fun. Yeah. I also like the team.
Strategy-wise, though, you prefer traditional.
I do, yeah. Yeah, I do, because I think it's easier. And I guess that makes it more competitive, too. If you're locked to your dominant side, then you're more likely to win. And that's in rally scoring. You're on your dominant side. You should be on your stronger side and stay there. So it does make it more competitive, but I think it is a strategic advantage if you have somebody who is good on both sides to let them flip and where the other team may not be comfortable.
Yeah.
You can line it up a little better. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where, and I think someone mentioned it, I think at the tournament when we were talking to players, Vivi, there were a group of guys that talked about why they liked rally versus traditional, and one of them had to do with the defense, and I hadn't really thought about that, that if you're a really good defender in rally scoring, you basically can win pretty easily.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if you can get a good return of serve in and make them hit a tough third and have, can put away that third that they leave high, or maybe they don't get it over the net, then yeah, I mean that's I think that's a huge advantage for rally scoring.
Yeah. Also, I feel like in rally, everyone is probably feels a little more pressured, which I think it depends on the kind of player you are. But I definitely can tell, everyone's really modest, is that the right word, with their serve and their return.
Yeah.
And their thirds. They just want to make sure it's over because anything you do, you'll lose that point.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a real advantage because especially because I'm able to go I'm not able to, but I can bring myself to hit a strong third and not feel worried because, you can always come back. But again, it's the type of player you are, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. You hate to see it and you hate to do it, to miss a serve, miss a return, miss a third shot. You want to get at least past those 3 balls. If you're an amateur player and never played an MLP style tournament, I'd say the most important thing is to serve, return, and get the third ball over. At least make them get that far into the point before we're just hitting it into the net or hitting it out. But yeah, it does put a little pressure on, okay, well, let's just not screw this up. Let's just get it over the net. And then you do get a lot of those floating third balls that you can put away. So if you are good at defense, you can set that up for yourself pretty easily. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more crushing in rally when you miss something that you shouldn't miss. That's crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in traditional scoring, if you miss one of those overhead putaways, that you're that was mine, and it's on your serve. Okay, well, fine. We just didn't earn a point.
Yeah.
We didn't lose a point, But then when you have that overhead putaway, and not only did you not earn the point, but you lost a point because you just didn't put that away in the middle of the court, make them hit it.
Right.
Why go for the line?
Yeah.
So that's definitely frustrating in rally. It's not only did I not win the point, but I lost the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's times in traditional scoring where, we miss a third or we miss a put away on our serve, when we're serving, and it's okay, nobody hurt, man. Let's get it back.
Yeah.
But you add up 2 or 3 of those in a rally scoring game, then you've allowed them to, push you to that 20-20 or whatever it is, So.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're all rally scoring. Wow.
Has your vote changed? Have y'all changed y'all's vote?
Yeah, I was traditional.
I thought so.
No.
You
I've always been rally,
Okay.
I think.
You've changed. Yeah. I think you're right.
I like the team event, but I like traditional scoring better. But as I've played rally more, I've found that I like the fact that I don't never fill out in rally scoring. And I never feel like I've won it either.
Right.
I'm really having to stay focused the whole time, which I tend to have a focus issue on the court anyways. So rally, I think, pressures you to stay focused a little bit more.
Right. Yeah.
Every point counts.
I agree.
But, it's telling, we were playing in a team event yesterday. I think it's really important to just move on, not get upset about shaky calls or not get upset about balls that you miss. You got to move on because you just don't have that many points to just be worried about that.
Yeah.
And keep losing point after point after point.
Yeah.
Which could be a segue to our next.
Yeah.
right?
Ooh, what's next?
We want to talk a little bit about, and I think you guys might have more to say about this than me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
But I think so. But we'll see. We're going to talk a little bit about what we just mentioned, which is the shaky calls or player antics, things that our opponents do on the court that might trigger us,
Yep.
might anger us. So I'm going to let you guys.
Ooh, kick it off.
Yeah, y'all
What do
go.
Start with antics. What are some antics? What are some antics?
There's not a lot.
No, I feel like I feel like you've gone off the court many times, and you're like, oh my God, I hate this person. I can't believe that.
Yeah, but you know what? On the court, I never let it get to me. Oh, I wait until I'm off the court. Yesterday specifically, y'all weren't there. Y'all weren't there.
Yeah, what
y'all
happened
weren't
yesterday?
there. Well,
We want to know.
well, there was a guy there
Okay.
that I've played multiple times in the past, and I've beaten him. And you know, one thing makes me so mad, and it makes me so mad for no reason. I feel like maybe I'm just a hater. Like I'm being a hater right now. I'm sorry. It's like my partner was like, "Oh man, he has really good drives. He's really good." Like, dude, nuh-uh. Like I'm not gonna let us start thinking that he's gonna he's like that good. Like I'm not gonna give him like that satisfaction. And then I'm like, I've beaten him every time I played him. Like I'm just gonna beat him again. And then I don't, and I'm like on the court, and you know, I think we talked about this, maybe not, but you know, sometimes the best strategy is to just hit them. So I let my partner know. I was like, can we just like go? Like, can we just like do it? Like, just go off, you know?
Okay.
Didn't work, but you know what? It's okay. I stood my ground. We stood our ground.
Okay.
But I definitely don't like, and this is like when my partner, you know, feels like somebody
Intimidated, maybe? And
Yeah. Keep that to yourself.
That's partner antics.
Yeah.
Partner antics that a player
There are
antics.
partner
Well, I'm sorry. I really don't feel like, you know, like bad line calls. Like, I get it, and we've all called a bad call. Well, everyone has done it, so I don't feel like it's.
Yeah, I think so, but I think being purposely tight on your calls is a different thing. Like if you meet a player we know a few that are purposely tight on their calls. If it's anywhere near the line, it's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think like okay, if we're playing like rec, like whatever. Yeah. But like if it's like in a tournament, you know, I can't say anything. I always say like no way. You know, like no way.
Yeah, you do say that.
Yeah, my partner makes fun of me all the time because I'm like no way. But like I'm never like I can't do this. Like I'm not gonna play against you if you're just gonna call bad like line calls. I'm not that person. I just say what I say, and I try and get in their head maybe a little bit. Yeah. You know, we say like lines are in. You know, just little things. But I'm not that person. I'm not gonna start a scene on the pickleball court.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I know you have player antics that you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've got opinions on all of it.
Well, this is. What was our thing, Jimbo? Judge Jimbo?
Judge Jimbo.
Uh-oh. Let's do Judge Jimbo on this one, because you do have things.
I mean,
Okay.
There's a lot.
Okay, we'll go.
We have a lot of time.
Go.
That I can't stand. But I don't know that if it's anything that I'm not guilty of myself.
Then
that's
just
okay.
Say it.
No, well, I mean, there's several antics, right? And then before we talk about line calls, there's like in racquetball, there's a hinder, which is basically, and it's more unintentional. Like you hit a ball, or your opponent hits a ball, and it's like you screen the ball off the front wall where they can't see where it's going. That's a hindrance. In pickleball, I mean, what I can't stand is the hindrance when it's like intentional, not feet movement. I think it was Ignatowicz that got called for a hindrance for a split step, but not that. Like, that's unintentional. That's just his habit.
Yeah.
But like, if you're at the net and you're like doing some crazy action, or like talking while the other team's in a backswing, or, talking while you're getting ready to hit an overhead, like, I mean, that's just, I don't know. It's definitely, it's definitely not, being very sportsmanlike, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I do those things. Like, if there is say there's a ball off the net that dribbles over, and the opponent is making that quick step to go up and get it, I will occasionally like put my paddle up, like just just to cover, like, because I'm anticipating the ball going right here. And if you put it right there, like my paddle's there.
Yeah.
Like I will do that. Like I will like show my paddle like, oh, like that's not there. Like don't go there, but like, but if you stand in front of me or stand in front of my partner and like, are like waving your paddle, like some
Jimbo makes the wave.
yeah, I'm making a waving motion. Like, what are you doing? I think we've played somebody like that and actually like pegged them while they were doing their little paddle
the wave. They were saying hello. Like hi.
I mean that it doesn't make them a better player at all, but it will get in the head of it'll get in my head,
Yeah.
And then at that point, like. It kind of takes me out of my game. And at that point, it's like, okay, like how can I make him feel as stupid as possible? Is it by hitting him with a ball?
Yeah.
Is it by making him, breaking his ankles and making him run all over the court? What is it? Like I'm not thinking about any type of strategy other than like how can I make this guy fall down on the court?
Yeah.
Like that's honestly, that's where my mind goes. Like, that's where my mind goes. I don't know where y'all's mind goes, but that's where it goes for me. It's like, okay, this guy's trying to make me feel like an idiot. So how can I make him, like, be the idiot he is?
Yeah.
That's kind of what goes through my mind. So there's the hindrance, right? Yeah. And it's in a tournament with a ref, it's probably like, like you probably could say, hey, can he say like hell yeah when he's about to hit an overhead like during the play? Like is that legal? Yeah. But and then there's there's trash talk and stuff like that, which I don't mind. I like that. I think I've told you I feed off that and like. But line calls can get to me too. Like if you are, if it's a tight game and, it's been pretty fair all along with calls, like, if it's close, like you play it. But if it's getting down to the wire, 9, 10, 10, 11, and there's another close ball there, but you don't think you have a good shot at it, so you call it out. Yeah. Right? Like, that's going to... I'm gonna say something, right? Like I probably am.
Oh, I thought he was announced.
No, like I'm gonna address that issue like right then and there. Be like, wait, man, like we've been playing like balls hitting the line have been good all game, and now this ball hits the line, but it's out. Like, what's the deal? So there's a certain time in a game where it's like okay, whatever, take it. But then there's a time in the game like, whoa, man, that's pretty much cheating, right? Like you taking a point that wasn't yours is cheating, right? Like to win the game or to have an edge in the game. That's what I consider a bad line call in those crunch time points.
That's interesting. You do get really distracted by shaky calls or just outright bad calls. But that's interesting what you just said, because I have always felt that somebody who has a habit of calling tight line calls, and let's call it what it is, somebody who likes to cheat because you hit close to the line. Yeah. I think that those individuals use that first one as a test of, are they going to say something? Are they going to notice anything? When you let it pass, then they feel that there really won't be repercussions if they do it again. Yeah. So if I know we're playing one of those players, I tend to be a little bit more vocal early of like, hey, are you sure about that call? Yeah. Like, and I'll look at their partner. Hey, did you see that ball? Just to let them know, hey, I'm okay. I see what you're doing, you know? Yeah. Because if you don't call it out, like if we've never played somebody and they do a shake call the first time, I let it go. I'm just like, okay, whatever, move on. Yeah. We all call, we all call what we see. Yeah. But then if they do it a second or third time, I really don't have an in-between. I'm calm with it, or let's get a ref. Yeah. Like, let's make this fair. Right. Because you're not making it fair. But I think those individuals, and we've known a few that have a habit of calling really, really tight calls. I think when you let them get away with the first one, that it's just a test to see if, when the pressure gets high, they didn't say anything then.
I mean, what do you mean by get away with it? Like question
Not saying anything.
Question it.
Like, you said the first one, I'll just kind of let it pass. I don't really get upset about it, or I don't really say anything.
Yeah.
If I'm going to say something about it, I'm going to say it on the first one. I'm just going to say, hey, are you sure about that? Or look at the partner and say, hey, did you happen to see that? Because I think it was in.
Yeah.
It just lets that partner who may have the habit of calling tight calls know this could get escalated, right?
Yeah.
And they're kind of testing you, I think. And the people that I've seen in the past, and it would be more through tennis, that's always been the thing, is if I called them out early, they tend to not cheat throughout the match.
Yeah.
But if I didn't call them out early and I let it slide, they would cheat in the beginning, but then they would cheat again at the most critical time.
Yeah.
And they felt validated along the way.
So you're saying your strategy is to like nip it in the bud. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
I feel like, if you let it go, that gives them they feel like they can do it again. But especially I feel like it's easier for if you're playing like a men's match, like this doesn't really affect you. But like when I'm playing a mixed match, and like, I'm like, oh, are you like sure? Like, are you sure? Like, did you see that? Like, I feel like they kind of feel obligated to, maybe give some kind of leniency. I don't know. Maybe like one or two, or it depends on the person. But I feel like a lot of times when I'm like, no way, that was out. Like, they're like, okay, fine. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
No, but it happens a lot. And I feel like when you speak up about it, then they feel a little less. Yeah, y'all didn't see what I did.
But I think people know when they've made a tight call.
Yeah.
And if you say it, and they're like, oh, okay. If you thought it was questionable, it was tight call.
Right.
What grinds my gears, though, I don't have a problem so much with the call itself. I have a problem with a partner calling a ball that they have no business calling the ball on. That's where I get upset. Like, okay, you don't have line of sight of what you just called.
Right.
The person who, and let me paint the picture, right? You have a person that's playing at the kitchen line, right? And their partner is on the baseline.
Returning the serve.
Let's say the return to serve, okay? And the person who is returning did not call the ball out, but the person at the kitchen did. And it's close. It's a close ball. The person at the kitchen does not have line of sight of that line. The person who's on the baseline does.
Wait. I'm going to disagree with you.
How are you going to disagree? Because this is like science.
Well, I know that's kind of where I'm
line.
going. Like if you are returning the serve, the ball is in front of the line, so you can't see that gap between the ball and the line.
The ball is not in front of the line. The ball is behind the line. It's out.
The ball's behind the line, but it's between you and the line. So I'm standing here.
And I have line of sight of the line. The person.
No. The ball is shading the line.
I get what you're saying, but I am closer to that line than my partner.
But your partner, if I'm at the kitchen and I turn around and I'm watching that ball drop, I can see the gap between the white baseline and the ball.
I get what you're saying, but the distance is not in the advantage.
That's science.
I hate to be this person, but I'll tie break it. I do agree with. I agree with my dad. If the ball is like bouncing like that way, it is a lot easier. What does the distance have to do with anything? Like, what is the distance away from the ball? See, if you're looking down at the line, the ball is round and it's going to like cover.
I get what you're saying.
Either way, it's going to.
So you're saying that if I'm behind the ball, I should never call the ball.
No,
Well,
I'm saying
it's easier.
No.
It's easier for the partner to call the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. Like if you can clearly see it out, then you should call it. If you don't see it out, then you're the partner is gonna. So let's take it. Let's take it another scenario. If we're serving and the people hit a return, our opponents hit a return at you, and you are concentrated. You're watching the ball. You're getting ready to hit the third. It is my duty to look at the ball and the line. If it's going to, I should be calling that ball in or out, or making a call or no call.
You really shouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean?
You really shouldn't. And this is and maybe this is because of the tennis background. In tennis, I never want, my partner can watch the line that's directly across. Like they're standing at the service line. They can watch that serve in and out. Like they don't call balls that are back there on the baseline.
But
they don't. They call the service line. Their job, being at the net, is to watch both players and know where I'm hitting the ball to know where they can be aggressive, where they can attack. That's their job.
But okay,
you should be watching forward and let me return the ball so you can see where the ball's being returned and be aggressive on I can attack or not.
I get that. In doubles tennis, you're looking, your partner at the net is looking straight ahead rather than back at you. In pickleball, I guess you can look straight ahead instead of looking back to see where my where my partner's going.
You need
look
to
back
watch
at me.
them and
You look
see.
back at me all the time. Whenever
I know I do, but I'm not saying that it's right.
So while you're looking
it's a
back,
bad
you
habit.
should be able to see where
while
that
you're
line
looking back,
dropped.
you might as well look at the ball and see where it's landing, see if it's out, because it's so much harder to call that when you're behind the ball, unless it's far out.
It's impossible to call it behind the ball if it's close.
Yeah.
I'm gonna this is a really interesting conversation because I've seen you get mad. I've seen you get mad at mixed players that we have played where the person at the line did not call the ball out. They didn't call it, and the person up front did.
No.
And you said no. Are you sure about that call? It happened once, then it happened again. You've gotten mad at this exact scenario in the past.
You're talking about a deep serve?
I'm talking about a ball. I don't care if it's a serve or whatever. What you're saying is that a person that's behind the line and behind the ball does not have good line of sight to call that ball. The person in front of them should be calling it because they have a better line of sight. But I would say on
a serve and a third, the partner is going to have a better view of the ball
and the return
than the person hitting.
Well, when does it matter if it's a serve or not?
Because here's where I'm going. If the ball is wide one way or the other, the person making the play on that ball should be that person on the far side of the court cannot make that call. Absolutely not. I've gotten mad about that. Like we're playing a match and we go wide and it catches the not the baseline but the outline, the sideline, I guess. And that person sees it good and plays it, but the partner on the other side, it calls it out. Now, I disagree.
You don't have a good line of sight.
That partner does not have line of sight on that. I've gotten mad about that.
But I think and I get what you guys are saying. But basically what you're saying is that anytime the ball is towards the baseline and somebody's behind it, their partner who may be up at net is responsible to call that ball.
They're not responsible, but they probably have a better view of it.
No, yes. I don't agree with 100%. That at all.
I feel like almost if I'm serving the ball, I feel almost like I have a better view of where my serve lands than the person that's returning that ball.
Very, very much agree. Very, very much.
Yes.
That's why I feel that's why I feel so angry when people call my serve out when they are the one hitting it and it's close, or when they call my return out.
Whoa,
and it's close.
no,
Because
that's
I
even why? No,
who's wearing glasses?
No,
no, I'm just saying I just feel like it's easier to see that gap when you're in front of the ball and not behind the ball.
That's one of my famous, not my famous, but that's one of my go-to lines is when somebody makes a bad call on a deep serve that was obviously in or that I feel like hit the line that I served. Yeah. It's like, man, I saw that in from way over here. Like, how can you make that bad of a call? And you're right on it. It's probably because they couldn't see it.
Yeah, no, I don't. This is I mean, and the root of it is that neither one of them have good sight. Let's be blunt.
Yeah.
The person who's standing perpendicular to the line has the best sight. I need to be viewing straight on with that line. Mm-hmm. That's why you have lines judges that are lined up on the line to see if it's left, right, back, or forward, right?
Yeah.
That's the best sight. Any other point of sight is not seeing it accurately.
But still, where do the refs stand when they are judging? They stand by the nets that, like, they're not looking back, but they are still looking that way, and the same, like, the opponent and the judge are looking the exact direction to where that ball is landing, and the judge can call that line just fine.
No, you're talking about in pickleball.
Well, yes.
No.
Isn't that what we play?
In tennis, you have a person on every single line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in pickleball, we only have one judge.
But in pickleball, and they will openly tell you, I can't call that ball. I can't see it. I can't call
unless
that.
they can.
Unless they clearly see it enough to say, I was watching. Because mainly what that judge is doing is making sure that you stay within guidelines, and we're watching for kitchen fouls, right?
But on a serve and a return, the kitchen is not in use. So they are, a lot of times they will call a serve or return out. They will overrule.
They can call something if they see it clearly out.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is...
and we can ask who we know who does it.
Yeah, we can ask. On serve and return, a lot of times they will help. They will, if you defer to a judge there.
If they clearly see it, they can't. But my point is that the best point of view is to be directly in line with the line. Anytime you get a variation of that, you're truly not seeing what's right or wrong.
Yeah. So
doesn't matter if it's up at the net, if it's behind the line. I defer to whoever's closest to the line has the best view.
Yeah.
Whoever's further away, distance makes a difference in sight. If you are closest to the line, you are responsible to call that line.
So let's look at tennis, right? Let's look like back when before like Bird's Eye, before it was all censored. You know, it's all done.
You had a judge on every line.
You had a judge on every line. Okay.
Yes.
Now, it would be ridiculous because this judge may be closer, but if there was a judge behind the returner of serve, if there was a judge behind that, which there was, for him to call or for them to call
that ball because there was a person that was lining with the baseline,
even though it might be further away.
But you had it
right.
doesn't.
Right?
No,
wrong.
No, it's not further away.
That judge
They're lined up with the line.
It's
just
exactly,
not a good example.
It's exactly what. No,
it's not a good example.
That person behind the baseline is not able to call that ball to serve in or out.
It's not their responsibility because they have somebody who's on the line.
These are such different. What is it called? Situations. You can't even we don't have judges on every line.
I know we don't.
So
unless you're
I defer to whoever is closest to the line is responsible to call it.
But still, if there was no judge on straight on to that baseline, and there was somebody behind it, they wouldn't be able to call that. They wouldn't be able to call that. Unless it's so far out. That's exactly what he was just saying. I'm just saying.
Well, they would. I mean, if they're told it's your responsibility to call it, they have to call it.
Yep.
But you're also talking about distance again.
Distance doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Okay.
Distance from a point, it absolutely matters. And you can even see that in replays where a player has called something out, but the camera's lined up with it better. And when you see it, or like in football, when you get that camera that's closer to the point of play and closer to the line, you're like, oh man, that toe was on the line. I didn't realize it because I'm further back and at a different angle. Each step back from it creates a different angle. You're not seeing the same. So whoever is closest to the line has the closest angle to see in or out. That is in anybody who's 1 step further, 2 step further, 3 step further, 5 step further, the angle of view is changing for you. Let's not even talk about sun. You brought up shade. If the sun's behind me, the shade's going this way with the ball, that's going to disturb this person's view, right? Along with my view. Whoever is closest to the line is responsible. That's not true. It is true.
Okay, so when we're hitting
in singles, can I not call a ball out because I'm behind?
There's nobody else.
But I know how to call a ball out. Then why would I not be able to call out a ball in singles?
Well, if you're calling a serve out that's really close, it's really hard to see a gap between the ball and the line because the ball is in your view.
And maybe this in essence is very different too. I was always taught 2-finger rule.
Yeah.
You're not trying to call a ball that's an inch out. Like that you're probably right. I don't think I can call it fairly, and I know my partner can't call it.
The only way you can call it
That's
fairly
too
if you're
close.
returning the serve is if you see a gap between.
If your partner sees a gap clear enough, I can guarantee you standing on top of the line can see that gap as well. And you just called a bad call.
I don't necessarily. So let's say we're hitting a third. You guys didn't even listen to my situational.
Don't get mad at me. I'm on your side.
I know, but if we're hitting a third shot, we're both at the baseline, and the return of serve goes to you. You're getting ready to hit a third, and it's going to be close. I have to call that in or out. You have to concentrate on the ball. You're closer to it. I'm further away from it. I have the angle on it. I can see whether it's going to be in or out. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for you to have to make that call. Your partner should be watching where that ball lands to make the call. Now they may be further away, so it disproves your point.
I don't think you bear the responsibility ever to call ball for me. If I'm closest to the ball, it's
No, that's
I don't.
not
I
true.
really don't.
That's not true. You're just sticking by your
true.
guns now.
No, there are times that you call it. There are times that you call it, and there are times that I've thought, I don't know. But I also don't have the best vision, right? So sometimes when you call, I'm like, okay, I'm blind as a bat. Cool. I am blind. My right eye is legally blind. So I don't have the best line calls ever. But if I'm the person who is closest to the ball and closest to the line, the responsibility is for me to make a fair call. Mm. That is my responsibility as a player.
Man, I think
my partner's responsibility is to be ready to hit the next ball. Because I am playing. If I'm playing the ball, if I decide to play an out ball and you don't call it, guess who has to play the next ball? You or me.
No, I get it.
Period.
Right. No, I get that. We've played plenty of out balls. We played more out balls than we played, than a lot of people do. We play more out balls probably than we call.
We're fair callers. Yes.
But I think that as a partner, when you, I would hope that you are trying, you're moving your feet, you're getting your eyes, your head, you're keeping your head still, getting your paddle in position, and I am watching to see where that ball lands to make sure we even have to play it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't.
100% partner responsibility.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's the responsibility of the partner. It's
something we've never talked about. I bet a lot of partners do.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. No, and I've had a partner before tell me that, hey, it's your responsibility to call the ball when I'm hitting. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's not my responsibility. And you really don't want it to be my responsibility. I'm blind. So pretty much I'm going to say it's in. Unless it's clearly out, I'm going to say it's in. And you know that. I'm probably one of the fairest callers out there, period, simply because I weigh to the fact that I'm blind.
Right.
So you do not want me calling a ball from up front, and you do not want me calling your balls, period. Because you'll get frustrated with me as a partner because I don't call a lot of balls out.
Yeah, well, I probably don't have the line of sight to see them, so I'm playing them anyway.
Nope. So
you can't see a ball that you're standing on top of the line and the ball.
If it's way out, if it's the 2-finger rule, then maybe
that's interesting.
Maybe I can. No.
So what makes you think that you can? What makes you think that you can stand outside the court and say whether a ball was in or out?
What do you mean stand outside the court?
As a spectator, you're outside the court. Let's not even say you're on a stand.
Because I'm not standing directly behind the ball. Maybe I'm up in front of that ball and I can look back and I can see the gap.
I would be super interested to see how many balls that. I would be super interested to see this, and I'm interested to hear from the listeners on what they think. Because I do think that a lot of times people genuinely think that the ball is out, but it actually was in.
Yeah.
Or they think it's in and it actually was out. And it's because of thoughts like this, of where you think you can view things and where you can't. We think we actually can see things that we can't. We can't see it.
I don't know. This perfect time for engagement from the listeners.
Yeah.
As a partner, do you help your partner call balls in or out, or is the person hitting the ball the only one that should make the call?
I'm surprised we've never talked about this before because I rarely call a ball out for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I don't really call a ball out for you.
And y'all did make the claim that you play more out balls than a normal person would. So maybe someone needs to start calling out balls that can actually
Won't
see
be
them.
me.
Well,
I guess if I'm standing behind the ball and I really can't tell, I guess I'll call it out.
yeah. Oh, who's going to be the next bad line?
You don't call serves out? Like,
Never.
If I see them way out, of
Yeah.
course I do.
I never
they're-
call
if
serves
they're-
out. I solely depend on my
If
partner.
I can
for that.
just see
Really?
the ball and the line in front of it, like
yeah.
on either side of it, and not the actual line that's directly in front of it,
Yeah.
then I'm playing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Let us know what you think. I get it. The people that are listening can't see this
Okay.
right now.
Well,
I get it.
if
It's
that's
interesting
the
to me.
ball and I'm standing directly behind it, I think that's in. But
I get what you're saying, and I'm not invalidating the point of what you're saying. I'm not at all invalidating it. I get it. No, I'm not.
okay,
I get what you're saying, that there is a blind spot for somebody when you're behind the ball and the line is in front of the ball. There's going to be a blind spot, just like you're driving.
There's not a blind spot for the person.
You think
the
that
partner.
there isn't.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be if it's clearly out.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a blind spot. But I do believe that distance from the ball makes a difference.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not 8 foot tall.
Sure.
Being at a bird's eye view and being above something definitely helps you be able. That's why, a lot of times refs are at a high seat. I'm surprised that they don't keep our refs in pickleball on a high seat.
Yeah.
Imagine how much they could call if they just perched them up. Why they don't? No idea.
Yeah.
In most sports, they're perched up if they're calling lines. So
Yep.
put them on a perch, get them up. You can see a whole lot more. But when you're only 5 foot something, right, or 6 foot something, distance makes a difference on what you can see.
Yeah.
So you may not see. You may see something clearly out, but it was clearly out. If it's close, you still don't have the best point of view unless you get vertical height. So
Yeah. I mean, the best thing is always the best action to take is always going to be if you're not sure, you just play
it.
the ball.
be fair, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I am interested. Do you
interesting.
help your partner with line calls? Yes or no?
Yep. Oh, is that question? You want me
No,
to
no,
answer?
No,
that's
no,
going to be a
for our-
question for our listeners.
For our
to
listeners,
answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting show.
We have a science experiment.
We need y'all's help.
Well, or we could do that. I mean, we want your input too, but we can always take a ball and put it places and see.
Yeah, I think the question is, that's true. We could do that because I don't think it's unfair, and I think most people would say, yes, I help my partner call the lines. I will help you call the lines. I'm not the best person to help call the lines. Partners are going to help each other call the lines. The question is when what gets me angry is when somebody calls the line that has no business calling it.
Yeah.
And it's happened because the person that was closest to the line doesn't say anything. The person that was furthest away says that was out. We look and say like, whoa, wait a second. And the person in the back's super quiet. Is like, well, my partner called it out.
No.
Yeah.
that was not a fair call.
Yeah, and I guess I get more angry and have more experience with that when it's, like I said, when it's a sideline and the person making the play on the ball says it's good, and this person on the far side of the court says, no, it was out, when like the person that's making the play on the ball is probably in the line, like it's probably obstructing the view of that other player. Like it's just that the person that's closest definitely, has a better view of it.
Yeah. Okay. Science experiment
we'll
and
see.
poll from our, poll.
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to say, yes, I help my partner
Except
call
for
lines. Well, I just don't because I'm blind.
Okay.
Like Not only do I not
Okay.
think the angle's
All
right,
right.
but I'm not the best person to help.
You're right.
Period. I'm not. I will call just about anything in
Yeah.
unless it's clearly out. I don't know how many times I actually call out balls in a match.
Well, I mean, if they're
Not often.
a lot of times, I mean, we don't have to call them out, right? We can just like everybody saw that was out. Can
Yeah.
we like just
Yeah.
pick up the ball?
Yeah, but I feel like if it's close, I always err towards it was in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Did we talked about our sponsor 002?
That's what I was thinking.
we
I feel like we
did,
might
yeah.
not have done that.
That's funny. I
We
skipped right over
we
it.
got right into it. Yeah, but
We did. So don't forget, register for 002 tournament coming up in March.
price reduction.
Price reduction, $35 off if you use code DILLTEAM. Just go to, the web address is pickleball tournaments or pickleball
Pickleballbrackets.com.
Pickleball
brackets.
Search, go to the search bar, type in 002. It'll give a list of all their upcoming tournaments. San Antonio Showcase is March. It's in March.
The 9th, right?
I feel like it's like the 8th through 10th.
I think
Sorry, we
singles is on the Friday, and
memories
then teams on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
They are paying each division to the winner. They have 14s,
Yeah.
duper 14s, 16s, 18s, and 20s.
Yeah.
Pool play on Saturday, championship Sunday. It's gonna be a great tournament.
Yeah.
Fairchild Park, downtown San Antonio.
And coming up, we should have Seth on the show.
Right.
So that'll be fun. So we'll get to hear from someone who regularly runs tournaments and get to give. So if you have any feedback you want to give, like that might be a good time because that is going to come up with Seth. So
Get some questions
you guys
ready
have
for
requests or questions?
002. Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for listening and find us on social and follow us on YouTube as well. Share if you can, like and comment. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all.